Hello, everybody. It's that time again. Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the Afternoon, live on WMNH 95.3 FM, emanating from what looks like it's getting to be a stormy downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Of course, we're live on WMNH 95.3, as well as streaming at WMNHradio.org. You can find WMNH on the TuneIn app, so you can take us wherever you go on your mobile device. Of course, we're also on Channel 97 Comcast in Manchester and on Facebook via Facebook Live on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page. I hope you've given the page a like. If you haven't yet, please do so. It is Friday, August 17th, 2018, and John Hopwood is saluting. He's got his MAGA hat on.
DAV, the opposite of MAGA.
Right. See, if I don't put the camera on you, everyone would have just assumed it was a MAGA hat.
Sure they would.
Yes. And Eric Gagnon is here as well.
Good afternoon.
Eric is the entertainment reporter on the morning show. Although sometimes you veer off into other things, like kidneys. How are your kidneys?
Oh, they seem to be good now.
Well, good. Well, how do you know? Have you had them checked lately? See? You could be getting ready to pass kidney stone at any moment for all you know.
I hope not.
Oh man, I hope
well,
not.
what if that happened?
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, but during the show, can you imagine?
I hope not.
Can you imagine the ratings? Everybody would be talking about this show if Eric passed a kidney stone during the show.
Dude, you're too much of a radio head. You know, you like when brawls break out, verbal brawls.
Not a big.
Oh, it's good radio.
That is good radio.
What is a radio head?
I'd like to. I'm not a big Radiohead fan, although
I'm talking. I don't even.
in the 1990s, you kind of had to be. If you didn't like Radiohead, all the music snobs would look at you like, you don't like Radiohead? What are you, stupid?
This is a band.
Yes, there's a band called Radiohead.
Radiohead was somebody, a nerd. Well, you didn't call them nerds then, into radio.
Yes, I
think there was a movie, Radioheads, in the early 80s.
Really? I'm not aware of it.
So was Radiohead after 1991 its success?
Yeah.
See, Eric, I don't know anything about popular music after 1991. And as I don't know anything about the Academy Awards after 2006. But I know everything about them before that because I used to write about them.
Oh, okay.
By the way, hello to NASCAR Nicey, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. I did open with, I wanted to do something to commemorate, well, not commemorate because it just happened. You don't commemorate something that just happened, but acknowledge the death of the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, this week. I know it was a couple days ago, but hello to John Zajac, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. I wanted to play her singing the Star-Spangled Banner from the 1968 Democratic Convention, but I couldn't find just a good enough quality version of it. Plus, she makes a little bit of a mistake on the lyrics in that one.
Everybody does.
Yeah, so I went with her. That was a performance from 1993 of the Star-Spangled Banner, and of course after that was Little Dicky and his version of Freaky Friday, the great Donald Trump parody.
Aretha Franklin was a great artist and reputedly a lover of Bill Clinton.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait, a lover of Bill Clinton?
Yeah. She visited the White House and she spent the night there. Like often celebrities do.
I've never heard this.
Well, you're not inside. You were never inside the Beltway.
Wow. Aretha and Bill?
Yeah.
Wow.
She was. Did you ever see her in person? She's a tremendous charisma.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
No, I never saw her in person, but obviously tremendous charisma. Yes, indeed. Wow. Have you had your security clearance revoked yet by the president?
I never knew what happened to mine.
Oh, well, I assume. I mean, if he's heard this program, certainly it's he's looking at revoking it. How about you, Eric? Do you have a security clearance?
No.
No. You like Trump anyway, right?
I'm not a fan, though.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, so you should be worried then. I mean,
okay.
You may lose a security clearance that you never even knew you had.
How
would that feel? Well, it probably wouldn't feel like anything because you wouldn't know. But,
do you know under ZEP, the Supreme Court case, anything I write about my time in that MI unit, and I guess whatever I talk about should be approved by the people at the NSA.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, in theory, I mean, the government's they're listening to everything anyway.
Intelligence Agency.
Oh, well. Hello to Heidi Hamer.
I try to be careful.
Heidi Hamer says, good afternoon, fellas.
Thanks for the sign. It's a beauty. I'll take 99 more, Heidi.
What sign?
Heidi's running for state rep.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
I was going to run for state rep. I'm sure I could have won. I'm sure I'd have been a very good state rep, but a particular type of state rep, like the hammer of God or something. But Heidi
Or
would-
the Hamer of God in this
Well,
case,
no.
because she's the Hamer of God.
Heidi Hamer will be a better state rep than I would be, and I encouraged her to run.
I think you should run for Congress.
It's too late.
Well, you should start running for the next
I
term.
refuse to take the pledge.
What pledge?
The one to use underarm deodorant when I go in before the cameras.
You have
Ray
to,
Buckley is very strict about that.
for real?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's how they're falling out with Joel, you know?
Really?
Joel used a particular brand
Yes.
of underarm, but we won't get into the intimate details of inside politics.
But it sounds like
Yes.
what you're suggesting is that Joel used a brand of underarm deodorant that was not approved
It wasn't
by
on,
the state Democratic Party. Is what you're saying?
Right, so, you
Joel's
know,
a rebel.
reputedly, and I won't swear to this,
No.
all the money that goes to the New Hampshire Democratic Party, you know, when you contribute, 15% goes to Ray Buckley. So when you do buy the official deodorant from the New Hampshire Democratic store, that you know it's a very well known brand, but we can't talk about it. But it does have embossed the donkey kicking the rear feet. That I guess Ray might get a few cents out of it,
Well,
but that's just a rumor.
Well, is this? I mean,
we don't want any lawsuits.
I've
here.
seen at the dollar store Buckley's deodorant. Is that the same?
Well, it used to be Mitchum.
the same family. Oh, Mitchum. Yes.
Yeah, but now it's rebranded.
Yes, it's very, very exciting. And I say, please support New Hampshire businesses always.
Politics is a dirty business, and you get up a sweat, you know. And
I-
Joel likes to smell. You know, he has that certain je ne sais quoi, you know. Joel is Joel, you know. You ever see him when he's not in his Speedo? That's enough to make you wish the end of the world would happen. But
oh my goodness!
I don't want to see that.
or when
Oh.
he hasn't dyed his chest hair or shaved it off with the Speedo.
Sure.
Did you see the lovely photo of Joel endorsing Ward 13, my show?
I did
when
see
he has
that.
the tube on.
Yeah. Oh, that wasn't
I
his
want
actual
that.
hair.
I want that too.
I just assumed that was a picture from when he was much younger.
You have to admit, Eric, anybody in New Hampshire, just like Fred Blassie was the fashion plate of professional wrestling,
Yes.
Joel Elber, the Honorable Joel Elber, is the fashion plate of New Hampshire politics.
I think it's.
I never seen him all dressed up. He usually comes in here with this regular old.
You've never saw him in a silk jacket when he's
No.
up there?
Mhm.
Oh, he's definitely, you know, they all say, this is true, too.
Yeah.
You know, he's got the nice shoes and clothes.
Oh,
he looks
yes.
great. And they say that he's like one of the best dressed state reps.
Yeah,
Yes.
I heard that.
No, that is
story.
true. Yes,
I've yet
yes.
to see it with my own eyes.
Well, you see him here in the morning when he's got, he has to wake up early.
Right.
And
Yes.
he's in his Gunsmoke breeches and, yeah.
By the way, the people's mayor, Glenn R.J. Willett, was here the other day, and
In
he-
Gunsmoke breeches?
no, but he continues to deny that he's running for mayor of Africa.
What about the marriage plans?
Oh,
Eric, you've heard about the marriage
he
plans.
Oh
refused-
yeah, I asked
You
him
were
about
there.
that. And he says he's not getting married.
He refused to discuss it.
You mean he turned down the proposal? You know what's embarrassing? Is when you have to return an engagement ring. Yeah.
Has that happened to you? Is that why
Yeah,
you say that?
yeah.
Oh, wow. That must be embarrassing.
It is, because I asked, what happens if she refuses? And, you bring it back.
Mm.
I had to go back.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, there's more to that story.
She was a refusenik?
The worst is, though, when you ask a woman to marry you and she laughs in your face. That
Oh.
happened to me, too.
That's, wow.
So help me God.
You have suffered a lifetime of humiliation. This is terrible.
Well, I get agitated.
Yes. Hello to Fred Bonig from thedailyripple.org who joins us in the Facebook live chat. I want
more
to
marriage talk.
more marriage talk.
I'm on the market, Eric. We've
Oh,
been
boy.
shopping me for what, a year now?
Why are you telling Eric that you're on the market? Are you thinking about
Yeah.
playing for the other
No,
team?
but you've been married
True.
and divorced.
True.
Was it the kidney stones that caused your divorce?
No.
Okay.
I remember going down to City Hall here, but they didn't marry you on the spot then. Oh man, I was shaking like a leaf. My hand was all unsteady. I always,
Wow.
whenever I see Leo Bernier, the former city clerk, I say, but for you, I'd be divorced now.
So you are currently married? I'm really confused.
I am in another dimension, but you know all about that. We're sworn to secrecy.
That's true.
Maybe we can go back to the future and I can get an annulled or just not. It just doesn't happen.
Right. Yes. Well, there you go. It's all very exciting what you can do with modern technology.
Hey, what's Trump up to?
Well, we'll get to that, but I have you mentioned actually before the show, Mr. Mike Doyle,
Mike Durrell.
who was on the show with me on Monday, and we had a great time. It was a great conversation. It was cool to meet him in person. I don't know if it's because he and I had never met before, but I don't know if it's because I had heard him on the morning show
I've
enough
never met
times
him,
that
but
I just felt like when he walked in, I felt like he was someone I already knew.
Yeah, I watched his sports show.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it
Was
was
it the
sad when it went off the air. I'd love to have him come on the baseball show.
Well, he'd love to come on this show sometime when you're on and
Why?
and debate you and argue with you. And
But I support the president. You know that.
well, yes, that's why
Tariffs.
you're wearing the MAGA hat. Well, no, actually, no, you're not wearing a MAGA hat. But no, you know what? It's fun. You mentioned the tariffs because yesterday he called into the show. Mike called into the show, and he was talking about.
If you're a Democrat, you should be for the tariffs.
Well,
Ever since 1829.
Well, he was talking about you bashing the president all the time and never saying anything negative. And I said to him, actually, Mike, I have to defend Mr. Hopwood on that. John loves Trump's tariffs and is wildly enthusiastic. Would you not agree, Eric, that John's enthusiasm is wild? He is wildly enthusiastic about the tariffs.
Wild.
I haven't heard it, so I can't say.
He is wildly. I mean, you can just look at him. Does he not seem wildly enthusiastic to you?
I guess.
Yeah, see, he's reputed to be wildly enthusiastic. Would you not describe yourself that way, sir?
I would say that I'm somewhat enthusiastic.
Only somewhat.
At times, because as Ross Terrier says, it's like two John Hopwoods, because you've seen them both.
Oh.
And then I can be adamantly pro-tariff. Because my
Yes.
stepmother was an executive at General Motors, and tariffs protect the auto industry, and it protects jobs, really good middle-class jobs.
Yeah, I would say adamantly, probably just one step below wildly. But we needn't quibble over the semantics of such. The point being, I did defend your honor to Mr. Mike Doyle.
And I believe that I don't like his rhetoric and the way he goes about it, but there has to be an honest discussion about immigration and how many people can be absorbed by the system. Because I lived in California when, there was waves of immigrants illegal. We've talked about that, but he goes about it in his hammer-headed way.
Yes.
If it was like a John Kasich or John Huntsman, who I was always enthusiastic about.
Yes.
We could actually have a conversation about this and talk about things. Because he engenders the other side in being a bunch of dunderheads too.
By the way, hello to Ion Wolf, who joins us in the Facebook live
Ian
chat.
Wolf?
All Ion Wolf.
ION.
All the way from Romania.
Ooh, no, I can't tell you about that. That's for Matt content uncut in the afternoon.
Is this because your security clearance has been revoked?
Well, it has to do with my
discuss it?
father being married, a trigamist. It has to do with the
A
trip to
trigamist?
Romania.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
trigamist. So is
You
that,
don't need you don't need all this paperwork to get married like in Manchester back in 1991.
Oh, so you can be a trigamist and maybe Ion
Marry
Wolf
as
is
many
a
gals
trigamist.
as you want.
Oh
guess.
my goodness!
Well,
wow.
this was after, When was that? Was it after the fall?
Ion Wolf,
Ian.
if that is this person's real name, wanted to discuss the revolution in Romania. So now feel free to give us a call. I didn't get a chance to watch. I think there was a video about it that I didn't get a chance to watch yet.
Which one?
Which one? There's been multiple revolutions in Romania?
Are you talking about the one that Ceausescu got hammered in and assassinated and murdered and all gone?
I don't know, but it sounds like this would be a good day for Ion Wolf to call because you know all about it.
Would like to talk about the October 1917 revolution in Imperial Russia, because I believe
Well, I think Eric would agree with you on that.
in reincarnation. I believe I was there, and that's where I first met Victoria
Wow.
many moons ago.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we got out of sync when it comes to reincarnation. When you're a Bolshevik, it's hey, it's like Lenin said, you can't make an omelet without cracking some eggs.
Ion Wolf says LNONONO. I don't know what that means. Perhaps that's Romanian.
I'm almost 60 years old. My days of breaking cryptograms is over.
Oh.
That used to fascinate me.
It's what happened now, 5 days. There's a current revolution, I think.
Well, we might have some people from Syria on the Druza who talk about the massacre next week.
Yes.
In Syria.
Wow.
So is MCUIA going to take a serious turn?
Sometimes we're serious. I enjoy Syrian bread with my Greek salad.
Eric, do you like serious or do you like something more lighthearted?
And-
Something what they used to call, my mother would call gay.
And more importantly, do you enjoy Syrian bread with your Greek salad?
Yeah, sometimes.
Answer carefully. Okay.
Sometimes.
I suggested he answer carefully, and instead he just blurted something out. I'm concerned that he didn't think that through.
I myself, ever since I was a lad watching the Flintstones, always enjoy a gay old time.
Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
have is it a gay time?
A gay old time, yes.
We'll have a gay old time. My mother always used to say that.
You did?
No, she used to say how gay something, because that used to mean. And then she stopped. And then it started meaning something else.
Your mom used to say that? Wow.
Yeah, because,
No.
it meant happy.
Oh, she used to say it in the original context.
Yeah, they say that the word entered the lexicon as a word for connoting a male homosexual in 1937 with Cary Grant is dressed in a negligee and bringing up baby. Howard Hawks' great classic comedy. And it's an absurd screwball comedy. He says, they say, why, they're looking at him. I just went gay all of a sudden.
Oh,
and
my
that's how
goodness.
it entered the lexicon. Although it might have existed before in that context.
Is that where the idea came from, that you can become gay? That if you,
Well, even you can always become happy. Isn't happiness the goal of everybody?
Oh, yes.
So a person that is oppressed back in that period might want to pick a word like that because the goal is to happiness.
By
After you've been put down so viciously for so long.
By the way, I
But I
see
never thought of that before.
Batista, which is a great name, Batista Grimard. Forgive me if I'm not saying that
Is
correctly.
he related to the dictator Batista that my father's great hero Fidel Castro overthrew in 1959?
I don't know. Maybe related to Batista, the wrestler, now turned actor in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, wow.
Yes, that's Dave Batista, which is actually Bautista. Hello to Fred. I did acknowledge Fred earlier. Fred says, "Mom, the homophobe." I think Fred is calling your mother a homophobe. These are fighting
Mother,
words.
what would it mean to my mother? She was born in 1926.
If
I know he's just kidding. It's how a word changes in meaning.
Fred's gonna drive up here sometime. Are you gonna fight him?
When I was
Since he said that about your mom?
in California, we literature classes and creative writing. Kids would read the use of the word gay, in something like a Hemingway thing, and think, oh, no, the context is that it always existed that way, which it didn't.
I don't encourage violence, but do you think you could take Fred in a fight?
No, I'd sidestep him.
Mm-hmm.
I would I would have my wife from the seventh dimension come and slip me.
Well, it's thinking outside the box, but I think it's cheating. Eric, how about you?
Is your wife ever ex-wife when you were, one flesh, a man and a woman?
Oh, my God.
Did she ever intervene for you and let you slip out of a very touchy situation?
I did not expect that question.
I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah. Well, you actually don't have to say anything about it, Eric, if
I'm
you don't
not.
want to. Wow.
I remember a dame,
I'm stunned.
an Armenian Christian from Iran, who came here when she was 12. I said, it was the highest compliment. If I was caught in a shootout where they're going to have me, do me in, I'd want you there with a pistol because I know you'd fight to the death with me. Now, that's a hell of a compliment, isn't it?
Who
That's
said-
the type of wife you want.
Who said that to you?
I said that to her.
Oh, you said that to her, and what did she say?
She won't come on the show.
Now, who's this person? You said this to Eric's ex-wife? I'm confused.
She is an Armenian, wasn't she?
Oh, there you go. Was she
No.
Armenian? No?
Was she Albanian?
No.
Was she from the West Side?
No.
She wasn't from Granite Square?
No.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm all confused now.
I bet if you keep guessing, you'll get it eventually. Fred says, "A warm hand on your nuptials." Oh, my goodness. Wow.
None of that double entendres.
Yes, that's really for the other program that I do, Matt Connarton Unsheathed, which is not carried here at WMNH. That is only available on the dark web, and I'm legally prohibited from telling you how to find it there.
We need to get a syndicate together. Buy a
Like
radio
an organized
station.
crime syndicate?
No.
Oh.
Buy a radio station.
Because there's good money in that.
And just turn it into like the old days when a radio station, this is a public radio station. You can't really do stuff. But a radio station that was of, for, and by the people. When a
Yes.
jocks lived with you. When I pumped gas, it was Big Bob Wheeler was pumping gas with me.
I don't want jocks living with me.
And,
That's kind of weird.
Well, I mean, amongst us.
Oh, right.
And of the people, none of this whatever those, talking about a different type of syndicate.
Yes.
Those big radio conglomerates.
Yes.
If you really, you could really reinvent radio right now, which has died practically.
Well, I
and
wouldn't,
have a really.
I wouldn't say that, but
It
hello
has
to
as anything other than 30 minutes out of the hour, marketing platform of obnoxious ads.
yeah, I wouldn't say that. Hello to Chris Rose, who joins us
'Cause
in
you're
the
a
Facebook
radio
live
head.
chat. Well, yeah, I am a radio head, yes.
You just don't see it because you're stuck within the feedback loop,
Oh,
the echo chamber.
You are on the cutting edge.
No, I just, radio should be reborn.
Eric is on the cutting edge.
Eric, would you like your own radio show? What would you talk about?
I don't know. It's a good question.
I want to move my TV show towards talking about classic movies
Yes, I think you should.
because I got Paul Cormier, and he knows all about movies.
Glenn R.J. Willett, the people's mayor for years, talked about buying a radio station. I don't know what happened. I think he had to put that aside.
But that's
'cause
the one in Dubai.
He's got to run for Africa. I didn't hear about a station in Dubai. I thought he was going to buy a station locally.
I thought
think
it got
if he,
relocated to Dubai.
oh, all right. That's must be what he was talking about. He did
Have
say,
you heard about that, Eric?
He did say something about
No.
WDBI. I guess that's probably the station he was talking about. I can't get it on
I sent my money in the envelope to, what was that, WBB Dubai?
WDBI.
WBI?
Radio Dubai.
Dubai.
It is a great station. I can't get it on my FM band here in
And
Manchester.
It's the highest antenna in the world.
I
What
do,
is it, like 5,000 feet?
You can find it on TuneIn. Yes, it is. It's I think it's 500,000 feet. It's
Glenn is
it's in outer space.
He was once in 87 languages, but I think he's broken the century mark.
He's gone global. I think he's in 684 countries now.
He's been global for a while.
Yes, he's truly he's a global entity and icon. Glenn R.J. Willett.
Eric, how do you think Glenn R.J. Willett, who we know has the voice of a nightingale, how do you think he stacks up to Aretha Franklin? I mean, Aretha Franklin class.
Truly a
of
golden throat.
artist.
Glenn has a golden throat. Yes.
He's no Aretha Franklin.
No, but there's a reason.
Oh, he might get mad at you for that.
Probably.
Oh,
There is a reason
sorry,
they
Glenn.
call him Glenn R.J. Willett, the golden throat.
Sorry, Glenn.
No, no. There is a reason. I didn't say it's because of his singing or not. I just said there is a reason.
Hey, I wonder if Victoria's going to call in.
But yes, Glenn is quite the remarkable singer. So since we know that Fred is listening, I did receive an email from Mike Doyle that I would like to.
Is it obscene?
No, of course not. No, it's just about some of the content on the show. So Mike emailed me. No, it's a very nice email.
I'm a psychic, remember? I'm like Karnak. I've already read it.
But he did have some constructive criticism. But this is regarding Fred, who called into the show yesterday after Mike's call. So Mike wrote to me. He said, listen to part of the show after I called today. Heard the guy from Pennsylvania who made my point. Love to be on the show and debate him as well. He went right into the Trump didn't do anything about the economy and Obama did it all. Now there's more to this email, but I wanted to kind of address
Obama?
that. And hopefully Mike is listening.
The Kenyan-born Muslim who gave us Sharia law.
Sharia law for 8 years. It was quite terrifying.
I almost lost my. You
all
remember.
my female friends had to wear burqas. It was terrible. But anyway.
All my female friends had to wear bras.
Yes.
It's terrible.
But I wanted to comment on Mike's comment when Fred called yesterday. I don't think Fred was suggesting that Obama did it all. And maybe Fred does think that. I don't know. And Fred can speak for himself if he wants to
Starting
call.
to have flashbacks.
603-250-6007. But the way I took what Fred was saying, and I would agree with Fred's point. See, I'm someone who's very skeptical of how much control a president actually has over the economy and how much credit and or blame any president should get for how the economy behaves. So I think Fred was just saying that, Trump is trying to take all this credit for how well the economy is doing, and the economy is doing well in the macro, but it's really just trends that are a continuation from 9 years of economic growth that began under Obama. So I took...
Right, and the hedonics metrics were put in by Clinton that bamboozle us all. like that unemployment is so low.
Mike's actually a big fan of Bill Clinton. But
I like him personally.
now a lot of Republicans do
a
say
good
he was
president.
an effective president.
Oh yeah,
But,
conservative.
But so I think the point that Fred was making is not that we should give Obama all this credit for the economy necessarily, but that how does Trump deserve all this credit when these trends that we see appear to just be a continuation of what was already happening under Obama? So, and again, I'm someone who, and a lot of economists would back me up on this. I'm very skeptical of how much credit or blame any president should get, whether it's this president or Obama or W or Bill Clinton or
A president can affect markets. That's well known.
I think so.
In the short term.
I think so, but it just I'm really I think a lot of people kind of like to think of the presidency, as we've talked about this, as this sort of thing. Well, I think you called
Like
it
a
the big man theory.
Right.
That,
The big. Everybody makes
yeah.
this fallacy of the big man.
Yes.
And
Controlling the levers of the economy from
Right.
the Oval Office.
and that's a fallacy.
Right,
If you've
right.
ever been anywhere in the organization, the irony is the deep state, as you'd call it, runs the economy.
Yeah.
And keeps it going.
We have a call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed in the Afternoon. Who's this?
It's that guy from Pennsylvania.
The guy from Pennsylvania.
I was hoping
yes.
for a Russian.
Oh my goodness. Well,
And you're exactly right.
yeah.
This is Fred, but yes, you're exactly right. That there is. My point is, if what you do impacts the economy, you can see it on a graph, and you can see a trend line
Right.
that starts, like you said, in 2010 when unemployment's at the peak,
Mhm.
and it goes in a pretty much if you took a straight line, it goes straight to where it is today. So if Obama was in office today and did nothing
Or
at all
Clinton.
but just continued with this thing, we would probably still be right where we are.
Right.
We would
If
be
you want
still
to
where we
claim victory that you've done so much, and then those lines would have to move as they did from 2009 to 2010,
Yeah.
It can
where they
take-
went the opposite direction.
Yeah.
It can take a president and his team about 3 years to move an economy in a certain way, just based on, I'm thinking
Well,
about
and
70s
again,
onward.
we've seen, and every time there's been a big tax cut, then it's 5 years later there's a recession.
Right.
It's what it has. I mean, it's just about trends. If you look at the stock market, there, the spike, it's not there.
Well,
There's no
the-
spike. There's no, oh my God, this all happened.
The stock market.
It follows the same 10-year line.
But the stock market's irrational now. If you look at it from the perspective of like the 70s and 80s, and like I first started studying it, actually, my father got me into the market with the Public Service New Hampshire stock back in like 1971 or so. And it's considered a casino, which under the, Keynesian and neo-Keynesianism is considered a dysfunctional market. And, I used to watch trends because you could watch the BBC Asia market. And I was watching it, and they predicted something he had done earlier this year. It was probably related to North Korea, but I don't want to give Matt any red meat. And and the Asian markets were supposed to be roiled. And it was supposed to affect the Western markets because, the market's open. Frankfurt and London. London was the great bourse after New York. And, they open up certain hours, and you could follow a wave coming. But nothing is happening now. It's like they've severed certain nerves. And basically, the economy, the Chicago School of Friedman, which was first played out in Brazil under the 64 junta, where, trickle-down economics is, which explains a lot of what's going on here. I tell you, it's based on debt. We are $15 trillion of consumer debt in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I'm old enough to remember where you had to have 3 times your income to buy a house. Mortgages were strictly looked at from but state, and this is even New Hampshire, which is a pretty much unregulated state, and federal. They would come in with their badges in a bank and look at you.
Yeah.
Then it all the regulation became so lax.
Yeah.
And then you got the bubble created by balloon notes, which balloon notes, when my father was down south, those were strictly used to con and bamboozle African Americans. You know, which I can tell you. And then all of a sudden it became, well, let's do it with the middle class, and they did. But unlike African Americans in the South, the middle class got bailed out, and those banks. But everything we're doing now is this huge pool of debt. Everybody lives in a tremendous amount of debt that was unthinkable. Clinton was the last conservative president in a way, but yet he created the matrices of hedonics, measuring certain trends in the economy. When we go from GNP to GDP, that understates certain things to keep inflation low, because you always wanted to keep the COLA, the cost of living adjustment, on any of the pensions, which could really wreck an economy. It's wrecking state economies, these public pensions. Even we have the troubles here in this city. But
I think
some investors still, I'll just say this, Matt, use the old GMP to make a play, plus the old way of doing unemployment and that, because it's considered by some investors a much truer barometer. But we're living in a casino. You know, we've been floated on markers and stuff, and now Trump is undermining the third world markets. And when they're roiling, because see, the United States, the whole Ponzi scheme that is the United States and capitalism and the Western economy, you've got to bring more people in constantly. Now, when these bourses start collapsing, and the way to put the capital in and bring it out, what's going to happen?
Yeah. Well, I think historically. Go ahead.
And we could talk about tariffs and Milton
capital
Friedman.
Capital is the employee.
Well, capitalism is the greatest force ever created.
The capital.
Yeah.
And without adding employees, you don't create wealth. And
right, we live in debt.
Even if you create automation, it doesn't. A hamburger. Somebody said the other day, well, what would happen if you paid McDonald's employees $15 an hour? Hamburgers would be $30 or something, and it's like, no, hamburgers would be the same price or just barely, because it's a competitive market.
And the hamburgers
they would have less employees, but they wouldn't change the price of the hamburgers because they wouldn't sell hamburgers.
Well, the hamburgers are shipped in. They're all made, and the paste that they bring out. It's not in the old days. There was some type of quality even at the local unit. The point is, they don't need the labor they did. I went down to the McDonald's on Brown Ave. They've already got the automation where you can punch the stuff in. That had come out, the idea in California, because there's so many multiple languages. And it's so, you can go through it and order. Because there was a lot of difficulty sometimes because a lot of the service jobs were taken over by Spanish-speaking people that, had some trouble with English. And it would create conflict at the time. I went through that. And the idea is when you do have these people with many languages, the automation. But what does that do? That eliminates people. It even eliminates the need for a translator.
Well, that's what's driving some of this talk about universal basic income, is the idea that eventually there just won't be enough jobs. But Fred, I have a question, because I know you know a lot about the stock market. Is it true that historically the stock market actually performs better under Democrats in the White House?
I don't know whether it performs better under Democrats, but I do know that every 10 years, that if you move the dial 10 years in any direction, it comes out to pretty much a 6% gain. I mean, no matter where you move it, and it averages out. It is always, since the beginning of the stock market, any 10-year period. The only thing that we have to keep in mind is that we're over that now.
But Fred,
that this has been a bull market for way too long.
Okay.
But you're talking about something that now, since Clinton signed the laws, which basically re-legitimated speculation, we're talking about the stock market. There's all sorts of products that are outside, financial products that are outside of the market.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez, I remember one time when there was $60 trillion in derivatives. There must be far more than that. And the Bitcoin, something
the
with
hedge
no
funds.
intrinsic value. But Friedman says, who was the guy that was the head of the Fed?
Alan Greenspan?
Alan Greenspan.
Greenspan?
Well, I guess because it can be used to facilitate transactions in secret. It has a utility, and you're thinking that's
Bitcoin.
exactly what, like the Bank of International Settlements, that's what the Clinton administration and everybody's trying to get rid of and open up the transparency. And people might have their savings, through 401ks, I don't know, invested in Bitcoin, because I understand they refuse to regulate it at all. And it's wildly fluctuating. I mean, if we had thought about it, let's not get into that. We've actually talked about it, but it's a joke. Having the Bitcoin, remember?
Yeah. Well,
But,
there's people right here in New Hampshire who were able to, who got in Bitcoin at just the right time and got out at just the right time, who were able to pay off their houses.
But we're talking about a casino.
Yeah.
And we're talking about people's, it used to be, well, you had a defined benefit. Then it went to defined contribution. And, you wanted, when you got older, 4% was considered, that's what you want to return. You can't be too risky. There's such risk. I just remember a girlfriend of mine, her father was a Pan Am pilot. Remembered Fred during all the mergers and acquisitions. I can't remember who took over Pan Am, but they looted the pension fund, which was legal. And then her father and the other pilots were thrown on the good graces of an federal insurance company. What's that? The Federal Benefit, whatever. And their pensions basically got reduced
because
to
theirs
nothing.
was a different union, right?
Yeah, but they have the federal. There's something that will insure your pension, but you get so little. And that was actually an asset, pensions, that you could take in a merger and acquisition because it's a private company and just take over.
Yeah.
And it's wild,
Yeah.
And all the things.
The point that I was just calling in on is that taking credit for a lot of it's like
it's ridiculous.
It's like being in the Indianapolis 500 and in the last lap and your car's already ahead.
Yeah.
You trade drivers. And then the other guy takes the last lap
Right.
and then claims the victory.
Right.
Well,
that's a very good
Of
analogy.
course, that's just nonsense,
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, but he is a hustler from New York in the real estate industry, which is very brutal and bare-knuckled. And
Well, Fred, Fred, thank you for the call, my friend. Call anytime. We won't
All
keep.
right.
We've
Talk to you later,
kept
Bob.
you on for a while. So, all right, thanks, Fred. All right, that was Fred Bonig from thedailyripple.org.
I don't know what's real. Oh, Victoria's trying. I'm going to say try again.
That was probably the beep I heard. Yeah, I heard someone trying to call in. But, so, and Mike did say some other things, and he did include an article here, which, maybe we'll dive back into that later.
But what's the source? What's the source of the article?
Well, let's grab this call. I assume this is this Victoria? Hello?
Good afternoon, guys.
Oh, it's Bill Barry.
Alderman Bill Barry?
That's right. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you, sir?
We're waiting for a Russian minx to call in, and we open up the line, and there's Bill Barry. Bill, you're great, but you don't rate as a Russian minx.
Oh, Alderman, have you had your security clearance revoked?
No, I haven't. Not yet.
All right, good for you.
Ward 10, it's they don't normally revoke clearances from anyone living in Ward 10 because they're very, very important people that live in Ward 10.
Yes. Oh, by the way, hello to Thomas Massengale, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. What's on your mind today, Alderman?
No, I just wanted to call in, say hello. I haven't talked to you for a while, Matt. Hello, John. Haven't had a chance
Come
to
on,
see you in a while, but I talked to you a couple of times. But just want to say hi and wish you guys a great, safe weekend.
Well, thank you.
You ought to visit Ward 13. Heidi Hamer and Connie Van Houten are hosting.
I thought it was Van Houten.
Is it? I like hootin' because she's a teacher, and owls hoot, and owls are symbols of teaching.
Oh,
so it's hoot.
very nice.
She should have an owl
yes.
on her sign.
She should, yes. You should suggest that
And
to her, yes.
Bill, thank you for protecting our schools over on the west side.
Yeah, well, we all work together, and that's what it's all about.
Yes.
So if we continue working together, we'll be in good shape.
Eric Gagnon is here as well. If you'd like to wish him a safe weekend, I'm a little worried about him with his kidneys and all.
And his ex-wife.
Yes, and his ex-wife, who he won't tell us much about, so I have to assume that she's stalking him.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, well, hello, Eric. I didn't know you were there, but how you doing? And yeah, you're a great guy.
Well, thank you.
Always doing a lot for our city. So I certainly appreciate it, buddy.
Who is this?
This is Alderman Bill Berry on the
Oh,
phone.
okay.
Yes.
I thought
I didn't know who he was.
I thought
Yes.
it was Norm from 11.
Oh my goodness. Well,
Thank you.
all right.
All right, guys. Listen, have a great weekend, and stay safe. All right.
All right. Thank you for the call. Take care.
I'll see you guys.
All right.
Okay,
Bye now.
we're clear
Bye-bye.
now if you want to call in.
All right. That was Alderman Bill Berry who leaves us. That was
okay.
You can hear John's on his. I guess I'll mute his mic. He's on the phone trying to get Victoria to call in, I think. Hello to Tricia Faculties, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. Eric, is everything all right? I saw you got up to go use the facilities.
Oh, I'm fine.
All right, good. I worry about you. What's going on over there, John? You're all tangled up in wires.
They say love is blue.
Yes,
Tangled up in blue.
Except
Greatest song ever.
Tangled up in wire. Greatest song ever. my
Greatest
goodness.
album.
Greatest album.
Blood on the Tracks.
Blood on the Tracks.
Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan. Yes.
Great genius of pop music.
I'm not crazy though about that title, Blood on the Tracks. It's violent imagery. I don't condone that.
If you see her, say hello.
Wow, is that
She
your Bob
might
Dylan
be in
impression?
danger. I don't do any impression.
Yeah, I noticed. So what's going on? Are we going to be getting a call from a Russian, and should we be concerned?
She's going to revoke your security clearance.
She is going to, because
She's calling the big man in Moscow.
I'm just worried that that'll be immediately followed by a call from Mr. Robert Mueller wanting to know what's going on. Why are we talking to Russians?
They haven't got me yet.
Mm-hmm.
Even with poor old Roger Stone.
Yes, Roger Stone. I believe I saw Roger Stone interviewed on MSNBC, and he said something about looking into this John Hopwood fellow.
The notorious John
The
Hopwood.
notorious John Hopwood, yes. The notorious J-O-N. Not everyone will get that reference, but those who do probably appreciated it. Did you get that reference, Eric?
Are you talking about...
A little bit.
No.
Are you talking about Fat Joe?
No.
It's one of the few rappers I know because he was from Spanish Harlem.
Good guess, though. Wow. No, I was talking about Notorious B.I.G.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who was the guy, Fat Joe?
Fat Joe, yes.
His, they're Puerto Ricans, but they're, black. He was... Big Pun.
Big Pun,
died
yes.
at the mall in Westchester.
Big Pun was a very large man. The human heart is simply not designed to sustain a man that large. Fat Joe's a bit rotund himself, hence the name Fat Joe.
Yeah, he was the local celebrity up in Spanish Harlem 10 years ago.
I don't mean to fat shame, by the way, just to be clear. I don't want to be un-PC.
Well, Big Pun was 600 or 700 pounds.
That's why it was called Big Pun.
Heartburst. I can't tell you what Big Joe said as his
Fat
obituary.
Joe?
Fat Joe.
Yes, yes.
What he said for the obituary. It's you can't say it. Maybe a Matt Connarton Unleashed.
Well, this is Matt
Matt
Connarton
Unsheathed.
Yes, Matt Connarton Unsheathed. Only available on the dark web. Eric listens to it.
All this talk of security clearance is giving me flashbacks.
Yes.
You ever had you've never had a security clearance?
No, I can't say.
Well, you have it until you no longer need it.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really, no.
Mine must have expired a while ago. Well, you have to have it renewed, I think, every 10 years.
Oh.
But why? I have no need for one.
Right. Well, that's good because you have criticized our president.
You mean our favorite president?
Our favorite president, Donald John Trump. Big 45.
The one with the handful of aces. 4 aces when he's negotiating.
He's such a great negotiator. I'm just amazed at his
tariffs,
the deals and everything. Yes, he's it's just it's something, I'll tell you.
Well, Milton Friedman, whose school of economics, the Chicago school, is dominant in both parties now, which is a shock. and said one of his seminal works was about the Great Depression and was it the Hoot Smalley Tariff? Smoot-Hawley Tariff, I think, of 1930.
It's fun to say
which
smoot.
he blamed for the worldwide depression. And I've read many history books. I was reading a recent one about the economic and financial turmoil after the First World War.
Yes, well,
And it was considered, the great debts of that war, that if only the United States had opened its borders and absorbed all the exports from all the countries of Europe, they would not have gone into collapse. But, you have unemployed in the United States, too.
yes. Well, we do have a call. This could be Robert Mueller. Hello, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed in the Afternoon. Who's this?
It's going to be Mike Doyle.
Oh, they hung up. Someone did not want to hear anything about Smoot. None of this Smoot talk.
I wonder if Mr. Smoot's security clearance, to quote the New York Times of 1930, has been
Mr. Smoot
revoked.
sounds like a Dr. Seuss character.
Do you think that the president should be called Mr. Trump, like it always was until the creation of the imperial presidency post World War II, and now the unitary presidency that Trump exerts, but Obama did too?
Before you answer that, Eric,
I like Mr. Trump.
I think that was Tom Massengale calling because he said, "Is that number just for listening?" I think he got tired of hearing
It's a
about
dating
Smoot and he
line.
hung up.
If you're from outside of the country, it's a dating line.
Oh my goodness, we're trying to set up Eric. Hey, welcome. Is this Tom?
Trying to set me up.
Yeah, this is Vika.
Oh, this is Vika.
I almost f-bombed, so don't trigger me.
Yeah.
I notice Vika's voice is deepened. Oh, I get it.
No.
It's not really. Is this not? What is it? Vika, are you there?
Is that the guy that's always pulling this Melania BS?
Probably. I think that was Tom Massengale. I should be a detective for figuring that out. Eric, did you answer John's question yet? You should answer.
What was the question?
Do you think that
Actually, never mind. We have a call.
coverage of the U.S. political system should have more mirth
Has
in it?
Vika called in yet?
Oh, hello, Tom.
Tom, don't go down that.
We heard from someone claiming to be Vika, but I think
We're
that was
waiting for Melania.
I think it was someone trying to entrap us. Just someone who wanted to catch us in the act of communicating with a Russian.
Well, let's ask Tom. Are you in the UK right now,
Oh,
Tom?
I could be, yeah.
Are you in the UK?
I'm in London.
Oh,
What's going on there? There's so much going on.
yeah. What's going on?
And
What?
nightfall. Well, not so much
Oh,
as in the
nightfall.
U.S. Brexit's falling apart.
Yeah, we've been.
I don't think it's ever going to happen.
What's the
And the
word?
knives are out. Everybody's trying to take down Theresa May.
Yeah.
Right.
But her
She's
government.
actually a far more reasonable person than any of the candidates to replace her. So
Yeah, the Tory party. Yeah.
Do you have a prediction in terms of how this all plays out?
tough to say. I mean, I think Brexit may fail.
Yeah.
I think Theresa May, sometime before that, I'm finally starting to understand British politics. She may go down.
Yeah, because she loses the confidence of her cabinet. She goes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like Chamberlain in 40, and then Churchill made a deal with Chamberlain because the pressure was on to put Halifax was much more of an appeaser. And that George VI, the king, actually became involved in that process, which was taboo, but behind the scenes. And but Churchill made the deal that Chamberlain could stay as the party chair, and he would be prime minister in the short term during the crisis. And and of course Chamberlain died a year or so later, and Churchill was a great wartime premier in the sense of rallying the people, because whenever his military decisions were certainly disastrous, but great man. But yeah, cabinet politics.
Right, but Boris Johnson is a less great man.
Yeah, he is. He reminds me of like Cassius in Julius Caesar. But we don't have Jim O'Connell here to quote Julius Caesar for us.
Now, Boris Johnson is the former mayor of London, correct?
Right. Yes. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, and he's pretty right wing, if I remember.
It's not like
he
here,
moves
though.
around.
Yeah,
You never quite know what Boris is going to say.
an opportunist.
Okay.
Where is Jim O'Connell?
I don't know.
Yes, an opportunist. That's exactly right.
Yes.
And then
He
the
is a
other
secret
person who
clearance.
could potentially become prime minister is Jacob Rees-Mogg.
I don't really
who's,
know anything.
You know, a real
neither.
tough. Who's,
Tough he knows to
I
get
just can't imagine
from
him running the country.
Oxford for in all the right schools, yeah, because it's a
Okay.
modern country. What did the Trump visit do on the ground, though? You know, we
Yeah.
watch it on TV,
Yeah.
and we actually have now our own balloon here in Manchester, but we're not allowed to talk about it.
Mm.
We have to talk about a Matt Connarton uncut in the
Yes.
midnight,
And, yes. in
but
the
what
midnight
Well,
was-
he was.
what
I
did
mean,
it
he was
do?
rude to the Queen. He kept the Queen waiting 20 minutes on
right,
the helicopter.
and she's 92 years old.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Shame
she
on
was
him.
standing outside at the helipad waiting for him to arrive.
Yes, and a president has less precedence than a queen.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Right.
just the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Truthfully.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like when Obama with the Saudi, king has to do like a little thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
geez, look at that's proof he's a Muslim, but everybody does it.
Right. Of
you
course.
have to. It's like when you're in Japan, which Tom lived in Japan. There's certain things you have to do.
Well,
Etiquette.
George W. Bush had to hold hands with was it one
George
of the
H.
Saudis?
W. Oh
No,
no, George
George
H. W. threw up in the Japanese prime minister's lap.
Yeah, no, I was thinking W had to hold hands with.
Right.
Was it in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah. Oh no, our president was holding hands with that big ball. We need Glenn R.J. Ouellette
Wait,
here.
what happened? What does anybody
Tom
know
must
what
have been
happened
to
with
Dubai.
W there with throwing up in the prime minister's lap?
He was taking it was H.W. He was taking Halcyon
Yeah.
because of jet lag to sleep.
Yeah.
Halcyon doesn't do anything for me, but does affect some people.
Huh, okay.
But
Because I know that's when I learned that the president, when he goes to these dinners, he only eats food prepared by his own people.
Yeah, there was the time
Oh.
when Jerry Ford visited Moscow and was taken into a room with Brezhnev with nobody there. And they did it very quickly. And, of course, Jerry was considered a dumbbell. LBJ said he couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time.
Wow.
This was the minority leader of the
Right.
House at the time. And that was really beyond the pale because then they say, well, we have to check that that's Jerry Ford. I'm sure that it didn't take long. You just get him to count to 11 and he had done zip his fly.
Oh my
and then,
goodness.
oh, that's our Jerry.
Wow.
But
Jeepers.
that actually happened. There's all the protocols.
I
or
didn't
if you're
know
given
that.
a dog, it has to be x-rayed and
Oh
seen
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
everything.
Or if you're given a soccer ball.
And you have to be very careful when somebody comes into an office or something. 'Cause you can just throw a bug.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
But
Who's the owner of the Patriots?
Bob Kraft, he's a friend of Mr. Trump.
Mm.
But they go back to
Right,
a
and
long
also-
time,
And also was a good friend of W, right?
Right, but Bob Kraft, they go back. They're friends for many, many years. Remember, Mr. Trump owned the USFL team. Wasn't it the Generals? Didn't he sign Herschel Walker?
Correct.
And the team
Correct.
went on. He sued Pete Rozelle. And he wanted to get the Buffalo team. That's what he wanted out of life.
Isn't this why
NFL franchise.
people say this is why he has it out for the NFL?
Oh, he hates the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they go way back. So it's not like saying Bob Kraft's some type of right-wing nut. But, of course, I'm a Patriots fan.
Do you
Yes.
know the story of when Bob Kraft met Putin in Bush's office?
No, what happened?
No.
Oh, it's a great story. Putin asked to see the ring.
The,
Right,
the-
because he was wearing his Super Bowl
The
ring.
Super Bowl
they
ring?
just won the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
And so he
cool.
handed it to Putin to examine.
I
and
bet what happened.
Putin looked at it and said, "Oh, this is great." And then he put it in his pocket, and he never gave it back.
Well, as Victoria could tell you, Putin's one of the
And
great
to this day,
thieves.
but Kraft communicated with Bush numerous times saying, "Please, can you get my ring back?" And George wouldn't do it.
wow.
Did he ever get his ring?
Because it would have, would have created a very unpleasant and uncomfortable situation that he didn't want to get into over a Super Bowl ring.
Right.
Yeah, Putin stole a Super Bowl
Putin
ring.
is
Wow.
rapacious, and Victoria told us he sees himself as a czar, and he's eternal, like a monarch, like Queen Elizabeth, and people like Hillary and
Right.
Obama and Trump are just civil servants that are beneath them. So he's showing he's the czar, which
Yeah.
he is.
Yeah.
He is a czar.
Right.
And one of the great Gonifs, which
Yeah,
is
he
Yiddish
is
for
a Zon.
thief, of all time.
Wow, boy, that must have been awkward though. Like, and then Kraft, I guess, didn't feel like he could in the moment say, "Hey, can I have that back?"
Well, it's you
No.
know, there's all
Wow.
sorts of
Well, he did
subtext
ask for
there.
it back,
Yeah.
and Putin just looked at him. But didn't say
Wow.
anything. As if he didn't understand. Yeah.
Right. All of a sudden, Putin doesn't understand English.
Putin is a genius.
Right. Right.
Very canny.
Wow. Interesting.
But I think what else is going over here?
Tom, have you ever been to Dubai?
is we
Seriously?
find that,
Oh, we're talking about England.
you know, we all know that the Russians interfere in American elections where they can, and
Of course they do. They have
we
since
interfere in elections
the
where we
20s.
can, where we see it in our own interest.
Of course.
But I think people are finding the obsession with Putin in the United States really interesting.
Isn't it? There's no similar thing in the UK, even though the Russians and Cambridge Analytics was involved in the Brexit campaign, because that's where
Well,
I learned about them from BBC.
We understand that Putin is not our buddy,
yeah.
but I mean, the whole election didn't go down because of Russian hackers and the ridiculous campaigns they had on Facebook.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
Now, it may have gone down in part because we're foolish enough to have electronic balloting that's connected to the internet. And
well,
hopefully we'll go back to paper balloting. But if, you know...
Never happened.
no.
This state,
Does anybody here not think if
New Hampshire,
there was such a system in Russia that we wouldn't hack it and
of course we would, but there
dump
is no
Putin out of
system.
office? Of course we would.
There's no voting there, really. But New Hampshire rates
Right, I know.
39 out of the 50 states in its effectiveness of the electoral process. We're neighboring Vermont, Bernie Sanders' home state, which has third parties in its legislature of only 150.
Yeah.
Where if we have 400, you either have to be E or, except for a couple of
Yeah,
libertarians.
a couple who bolted from
and
the
then
Republican Party.
changed.
Yeah.
But they're the number one state when it comes to integrity of elections. We're number 39, yet we pick your president. But I just say about that, after reading the Cambridge Analytica stuff, when Economist and other sites, that when you get down to an election with our crazy electoral college, we're talking about all that stuff on the internet was targeted because they know everything about you. They can put an ad about hemorrhoids. If you
Of
just put a
course.
thing about the Honorable Joel, it's a
Right.
joke, holding an hemorrhoid cream and said, I endorse Ward 13. What is it? Ward 13 is good for everything that ails you.
Right.
Suddenly I get a hemorrhoid stuff keeps coming. And that's true. They target these people that can be moved because they're there's a word, psychometrics or something, mean that they can. You remember, that it's just a matter, I lost an election here, but, it was only like 2,000, 4,000, 4,000 votes by 32 votes. But we had a Senate contest here that was really close, almost like it was just 1,000 or so votes out of hundreds of thousands. So
Yeah.
you're just trying to move it a little. And then when you have something like the Electoral College, where it's winner takes all, and you can just move 10,000 votes in Wisconsin and Michigan. But I'll tell you just two things. Remember Stu at BU? He decides that he's going to vote for Reagan at the end because Reagan's going to win because he's going to vote for a winner. But the other thing is Hillary Clinton, no matter what you say, was the worst candidate in the history of American mainstream politics. She engendered Trump, and she engendered her own loss. She engendered it.
Yeah.
I mean, how can she criticize Trump about sexual harassment with her husband?
Right.
I
Well,
mean,
right, of course, yeah. She's
except that
there's
they're
a,
partisan.
there's a
You have to
credibility
say,
issue there.
Democrats
How
still
could she?
voted for her in the
How
primary.
could she? We did because we want to save the Supreme Court. You and I.
I didn't
Remember-
vote for
Oh,
her in
you
the
didn't?
primaries.
Oh yeah, I remember but you voted for president. But let me add another thing. How
Right,
could
of
she
course.
criticize Trump over a corrupt foundation with the Clinton Foundation? And
No,
you
I
have
know.
all the
I know.
evidence Wikipedia's dumping of pay for play.
WikiLeaks, yeah.
WikiLeaks,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
And
By the way, hello to Chuck Gosson, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. But yeah, Tom, something you were mentioning earlier about the Russian memes on Facebook and whatnot, and I know this is something that I don't know if you'll agree with me on this. I know this is something Hopwood and I disagree on, but I've always been skeptical about. I mean, you see some of these memes like, Hillary Clinton arm wrestling white Jesus, and it's like, come on, did that really move anybody to vote for Trump? Who looks at that and
no, it didn't.
and is so weak-minded as to say, oh well, obviously, Hillary's against Jesus, so I'm going to vote for Trump. I don't think it had an effect, and it's like I forget who I heard say this first, but every once in a while I'll hear someone point out that, it's not the Russians who convinced Hillary not to bother to campaign in Ohio or Wisconsin or wherever.
Not.
So,
Right. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Not to go to Michigan.
Right.
What the hell is up with that?
Right. Oh, hello to Ben Dion, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. Ben Dion, of course, host of the weekly Dion. So what do you think? Oh, by the way, Eric Gagnon is leaving us. Have a good day, Eric. So what are your feelings about, Tom, you say you think Theresa May might go down. Does that mean the end of Brexit? Does that mean that they find a way out of this and reverse Brexit and it just ends up not actually happening?
I think she will go down. If she goes down, she will go down because she is unable to deliver the hard Brexit that she promised.
Yeah.
And ironically, you have to understand, she took this on as prime minister. In her eyes, it's carrying out the will of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And she is opposed to Brexit.
No, that's interesting. See, I didn't realize that. She's personally opposed to it.
Yes.
See, I didn't.
That's why
was
she
opposed
became
to it, and then was made prime minister, and she felt, I have to carry this out.
Well, she wouldn't be prime minister
And I
unless
believe
she
it's done
backed the party.
Everything she can to carry it out.
Well,
Okay.
Cameron quit because of Brexit, because he was
Right.
opposed. Then they needed the caretaker
Well,
PM.
that's when Cameron got the knife in the back. He had to go.
Yeah.
And she's
As John was
caretaker.
saying, he lost confidence in the party, and when you lose confidence, they pull you down as quickly as they can.
Look at the Iron Hen,
Yep.
and John Major was just supposed to be a caretaker because there were all sorts of people. There was Tarzan, the guy with the big mass of blonde hair. All these people that were competing. As Disraeli, who's a great novelist, by the way, the prime minister in the 19th century, Queen Victoria's favorite prime minister, described parliamentary politics in the cabinet as climbing the greasy pole. And, of course, like at Oxford and Cambridge, that was part of the initiation, right? You go up the pole because there's a hat. And when you get up there, and everybody's battling you and trying to tear you down, you're prime minister, but you're on a greasy pole with people beneath you pulling you down.
Yeah.
And that's what happens.
But as part of what's affecting her now and why she's being pulled down, is it because she personally opposes Brexit and people are concerned that she's kind of slow walking this whole thing because she wants to find a way out?
No, you
of
have to
power
understand.
politics.
Everybody in the political parties here, whoever gets made head of the party, which is what the prime minister is,
Right.
their party takes power in parliament.
And they become the government.
There are always several factions waiting with knives behind their backs for the moment when they can get themselves into power.
Sure,
Yes.
sure.
But you need an opportunity where enough people are going to say, you know what, let's dump her.
Right. And so they are destabilizing her because,
Yeah.
there's probably a wave that Trump helped
and
create.
through the press, they manipulate the press, all sorts of things.
Oh, yeah, because
I mean,
Rupert
she's actually,
Murdoch.
I'm no Tory, but I think she's been a very sound prime minister, given that she's a Tory and what their agenda is.
Tory being the Conservative Party,
Okay.
which,
Right.
yeah.
Right, and they're not. I mean, they're nothing. Yeah, they do
We also have to
things I
understand.
disagree with. They brought in fracking. They do all sorts of things I don't agree with, but
We have
they're
to,
nothing like the Republicans in America.
We have to understand that too. Tony Blair and the New Labor, and Brown, who succeeded him as PM, because they had their deal,
Right.
and Tony's time was over after the oil wars, and Brown's time had come because he'd been the Chancellor of the Exchequer. They were like a team, the Scot and the Brit, the Englishman, and geez, they made certain constitutional changes. You can't, and they've continued. You can't bring a government down just on a vote. There is a more intricate process. Where in the old days, a government could go like that. A vote of no confidence. They split the House, and you walk because on key votes, if the government, you see, the difference between the United States is the government would be
right,
what.
but this isn't.
But you can
I'm not.
a
that's
vote of
not
no
what would
confidence or
happen.
lose a vote.
This would be the party.
You could bring a
removing
PM down.
their head of party.
Yes, but you could bring a PM down much easier, or a government down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right. It's not
Right,
as
because
easy
the
now.
government can say, right, we're done with
right.
the PM.
So
We're done with the head of our party. She is no longer the head of our party.
Right. You don't
and
take.
that means she's no longer prime minister.
Right, because you in the party that forms the government. Forms the government. They're the government, and we're in the United States.
Right.
The government is broader. So what Tom's saying, and he's right, is that you have to take them out as a party head. But of course, they had to do that with Thatcher too, because she was so powerful in her way with her faction. So you have to take the party head. They're jockeying for power to take over the party, and it's ambition.
Yeah.
And because nobody.
And it's usually all behind closed doors because once it happens,
Oh yeah.
No, of
what
course.
actually happens is the PM tends to resign.
Yeah. When's the conference coming? The party conference. They usually have it like
Don't
in
know.
Brighton.
There was just one a couple months ago. So.
And she survived that.
Oh, hello to Ed Murphy, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. I'm curious about Brexit. Are there elements of Brexit that have already been phased in gradually that are already having a tangible effect, or does it have to kind of all happen at once for it to happen?
And no, the only tangible effect is what's happening to the pound because of fear of the future.
Okay, yeah.
But Brexit has not started at all. We're still living under the same rules.
Right,
We
they're
always have
negotiating.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Poland's threatening
Our borders
to come
are
out
still
too.
open, and you know.
Poland is threatening to.
Yeah, there's a lot of crises going on. Austria, Poland. A lot of people always hid behind Thatcher when she was railing against the EU. They wouldn't do it themselves, but they might have common interest. And Britain was the bad boy under the bad girl. And Poland and Austria, they are counting on the UK. They think that there's going to be some type of deal on Brexit, kind of like Merkel made with the Free Democrats in Germany, where we'll stop immigration, we won't have as much the free passage of people. Because remember, Tom, it was Brown's lie about, of all things, immigrants from Poland. He said there were none. When there was 2 million, they'd come. That brought his government on. Plus the fact he was a git.
Right.
But it's a much more interesting.
Actually, Brown was a very good leader, but he was an absolutely terrible campaigner.
Right. Yeah. He should have won that election.
He speaks very well, but not when he's running for prime minister.
Yeah, that's like Al Gore. They say if you meet him, he's terrific, and then when he goes for the camera, he turns into a wooden Indian.
Well, they even say that about Hillary
Right,
Clinton.
much worse than Al Gore, because they coached him. Like they coached him how to smile.
Yeah.
And he would make these just pathetic fake smiles.
He's a
during
Scot.
The debate.
Yeah. But we hear that all the time
Beyond
about
belief.
Hillary.
I understand. I like him. I think he's.
Yeah.
He was a good PM, but Blair brought in the idea of the prime minister as a president that has to go down there, go out and sell himself, which
Right.
Theresa May's in the old tradition, like Thatcher brutally beat her way to the top. She brought down Edward Heath.
I mean, Theresa May came up through running the Home Office for years.
Remember, Thatcher took out Heath because he brought them into the EU. When I was in Britain in the early 80s, people were still complaining about, Heath took us into the EU. Well, the EC at the time.
Right.
Fred is from the Daily Ripple made a comment kind of regarding going back to something we were touching on earlier. He says, no, but ask this, and this refers to the Russian meddling and on social media and whatnot. Was Hillary Clinton asleep during Benghazi? That will prove if people were swayed with BS.
No, Benghazi, I remember, I think when you hear anybody that was in the IC, when you hear about that, you knew it was a CIA cock-up and the various things they do. And I had Ambassador George Bruno on my show and said, maybe we said it off camera. the ambassador violated all the protocols. So Benghazi's ridiculous.
Right. I remember when George Bruno said that.
Oh, yeah, you were wrong. Yeah.
And I also think, too, that, she may have mitigated a lot of the damage that the Republicans were able to do to her on that when she went and testified for, I think, a solid 12 hours and did very well.
She was a first-rate Secretary of State.
I mean, even Fox News really couldn't find anything wrong with her testimony on that day, much as they tried. But
Tom was right. He was on our shows, remember, saying she's going to be a horrible candidate.
Yeah.
Separate from, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, She had,
Well, Tom, we've kept you on for a while. Anything else on your mind today?
Any idea about Bernie? Bernie's, they say, he's going to run in 2020.
He's going to be the fresh new face of the Democratic Party. I predict it right here.
I like this woman from the Bronx.
Oh, Alexandria I keep screwing up her name.
Yeah.
Cortez Ocasio.
Ocasio? Is that
Ocasio.
how do you say it? Ocasio?
It's AOC. I know that's the initials. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I think.
But the party establishment, which was, built by the Clintons, just going sad, to use Johnny Toole's term, on the Bernie.
Chuck Schumer is actively trying to undermine her. He called her a cashier. Who's running for Congress?
Everybody seems
How
to
can
be
they
trying
say
to
something like
undermine
that?
Yeah, that's the establishment.
Cuomo was just horrible with her.
Cuomo is cracking down on a news organization while simultaneously giving tax credits to the various networks to stay in New York, which they're going to do anyways, and give his kid brother a TV show. But we can talk about that because it's outrageous. The Democrats, it's like my old man said, it's like, with the Republicans, you're dealing with the mafia, where my beak dips, no other bird shall drink.
Mm-hmm.
At least the Democrats, you get a little crumbs off the table. What's the difference now, except for these wedge issues?
Yeah, it's all.
Do you see any difference, Tom?
And what's her name? Who's the woman from the senator from California?
Dianne Feinstein, Nancy Pelosi.
No, the one that just got elected that they're going to run in 2020.
Oh, Kamala Harris.
Yeah. Who wouldn't crack down on fraud, mortgage fraud.
About this woman.
Yeah, well, she's very much a product of the establishment, but she's most likely running.
Oh, don't go. That woman is more conservative than you think. She is a tool of the financial establishment.
Well, that's what I mean. She's a product of the establishment. No, Harris. Yeah.
I'm saying, she's the next Obama. Obama was put in power by UBS North America President Bob Wolf.
Yeah.
Right. He was bird dogged, Vernon Jordan. Here's a guy that will build up. That's the stuff where, who is this guy? Clint Eastwood, got a lot, he shouldn't have done it. Oh, the empty chair. Obama, who was he? Do you know? It's like an African American told me, older guy says, John, about all this stuff. It's not that it's true. It's just that it's metaphorically true to a lot of people. Who is this guy?
Right.
He was a Republican all his life.
The Democratic Party died when the Clintons took over.
Why do you say that? What do you mean, Tom?
It died after.
Because the Democratic
term.
Party had been, to some degree. I mean, of course, it's always the rich who rule, but to some degree was the party of the working class, the lower middle class, those who weren't affluent.
The FDR coalition.
I mean, the party did represent. I mean, Bobby Kennedy.
Oh, great man.
Would not have fit in with the Clinton organization.
Right.
Of course not.
I think that's true, yeah.
They sold out the party, the corporate
interests. And it was really,
interests.
Mondale was so weak that they had their opportunity the next election to sell us down the river. As Bubba famously said, who else are they going to vote for?
Yeah, when Dukakis, a great liberal, but a liberal technocrat, but so cold, which you have to explain. Well, he's a Greek in Boston, and anybody that's ethnic can't show any emotion. And because Mario Cuomo said when he went to his first law firm, they said you'd have to change your name to Mike Connors, and he says no, I'm not going to. And the White Shoe Law Firm at the time rejected him. But the sellout. There's no difference anymore between the two parties. We've got the Dixiecrat party of Strom Thurmond. And we've got not even a Rockefeller Republican Party as Democrats.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I know it's and it's nice to see sprouting up through the cracks in the pavement, some of these people who are leading us back toward what the Democratic Party stood for.
Well, the Democratic Party did ever stand for anything? Was it just an illusion? It cracked as Norman.
Well, I think FDR stood for something.
Yeah, but Norman Mailer, if you read The Siege of Chicago, he was at we just brought up Aretha Franklin. I sang Star Spangled Banner there, and I remember as a kid watching it on TV and seeing Dan Rather punched, and I thought, well, am I really imagining that? Now you can see it.
At the 68 convention?
Mailer says you're watching a great liberal party, meaning liberal in the old sense, like Murray and Howard taught us about, the spine of it tearing itself apart as the military-industrial corporate part, which is taken over, is tearing itself away from the populism. And it was a brutal revolution. And Bill Clinton, and they were part of that, they were big supporters of McGovern. And then, it's like they took Lenny Bruce's dictum to heart. Grow up and sell out.
Mm-hmm.
The corruption.
Yeah.
What can you say?
Yeah.
Tom was right.
Yeah.
When you were talking about the Clintons. I hate to say it.
Well,
I mean, when Bobby Kennedy got shot, the writing was on the wall.
Right after, yeah.
Well, Tom, we'll let you go. We're actually almost out of show because on Fridays we wrap up around 5:30. But it's great to talk to you. You should call more often. This is always a good time.
Good to talk to you guys.
Yeah.
Give Vika a call before you sign off.
All right.
She's busy.
We'll see.
Well, there's security clearance.
Yes.
Have a great weekend, you guys.
Yep, take care.
All right, Tom.
Okay, good talking to you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. All right. That was Tom Massengale. That was nice. We haven't, he shows up in the Facebook live chat, but he doesn't call very often.
Well, it's interesting to hear somebody that's on the ground living in a foreign country.
Yes.
It's just like Vika being Russian, knows Russia in a way we never can because she's reading the media. She has family and friends there.
Yes.
She was just interviewed by somebody from the BBC or had a conversation with them.
By the way, some very sad news. I don't know if you're aware of this as a veteran. I don't know how you'll feel about this. Apparently, the big military parade is off the table. It has been canceled.
Why?
Well, Trump is actually taking credit for it.
For canceling the thing he wanted?
Yeah, listen to this is some good spin here. This is from Mediaite.
Let's have Mike Doyle call.
Trump takes credit for cancellation of his own ridiculously expensive military parade. Says the Pentagon announced last night that they were postponing Trump's plans for a military parade in D.C., but the president just announced that he's canceling it outright. In his latest tweets, Trump blamed local politicians for the estimated $92 million price tag for the parade.
He's through.
So he's scrapping it. Instead, he'll settle for the upcoming parade around the Andrews Air Force Base.
Here it is. The Pentagon's moving against him. If you know about what happened in Watergate, we can talk about it another time. And the Department of Defense. I mean, he's through. This woman from his TV show.
Omarosa.
I think she's going to be much more deadly to him than Stormy Daniels.
Oh,
because
I don't know.
Avenatti's crazy.
You think so? Yeah.
I'm going to run for president. He's here coming to New Hampshire.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that's why he was in Iowa the other day. There's really not much else other reason to go to Iowa, yeah. Here's what Trump tweeted. The local politicians who run Washington, D.C. poorly know a windfall when they see it. When asked to give us a price for holding a great celebratory military parade, they wanted a number so ridiculously high that I canceled it. Never let someone hold you up. I will instead. And then
Washington, D.C. is controlled by it's a federal district. It's a district of Columbia. They call themselves the plantation because they're treated. They really, the court system, everything is controlled. By the Congress.
And then here's his second tweet, part 2. He will instead attend the big parade already scheduled at Andrews Air Force Base on a different date and go to the Paris parade celebrating the end of the war on November 11th.
What war?
Maybe we will do something next year in D.C. when the cost comes way down.
What
in
war?
All caps. I don't know.
War ended?
Now we can buy some more jet fighters.
Oh, World War I.
That's how he ends his tweet. Now we can buy some more jet fighters. All right.
Well, since they cost like $500 million, how are you going to buy one?
I'm excited.
I am. I want to see one of those jets blow up as long as the robots.
Oh, my goodness. Well, of course, yes. We don't want
this country's gone straight to hell. It's... I tell you, man. Yeah. They've been papering over all the rot and corruption and degradation. There could be a revolution of akin to like the 60s, but it's a different country. You know, once you get a financial collapse.
Tom is still in the Facebook live chat. He says the Paris parade is on Bastille Day, and that's what he went to. Oh, yes. Some theorize that that's what inspired him to want to have a military parade in his honor. I mean, in honor of troops and veterans and so forth.
A parade.
Yes, that's.
Jeez.
He wanted to. He's not going to be outdone by the French.
But you know, on November 11th, 2018, the war to end all wars, which Brits and the French still remember, but not Americans. They're going to have the 100th anniversary, and it's going to be. Does he? No, he goes huge.
Huge. Yeah, he doesn't pronounce the H.
Huge. Neither do I.
It's going to be big league and bigly. It's going to be very exciting.
This country could give a damn about World War I, which created the modern era.
I disagree with you, though, when you say, you know, oh, this is it. He's through. The Pentagon's turning against him and whatnot. I don't think he'll ever be through.
He's about to crap out.
Every single time something happens,
if that economy,
it never matters.
If that economy starts hiccuping, there's no sense. They're not going to keep that jackass. They're going to get into beyond 2019 because there's only so much offense any human being will be able to take.
I think, look, all Trump has to do to win re-election in 2020 is to get every single person who voted for him to vote for him again. And
you even look like the devil. Do you know that?
I look like the devil?
You look like the devil.
Well,
look at you with the Van Dyke and the wild hair.
Well, you know, I'm.
You're a Democrat. A Trump. What do they call them? Anti-Trumpers is word.
A never
Trump
Trumper?
deranged.
Oh, Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah, and you are possessed by the devil, folks. You don't see it. I can see the devils, and I have a sixth sense.
Well,
or is it a seventh sense?
Devil or not, Tom Massengale says Matt is right. The economy is humming.
I say that Matt needs an exorcism. Or at least some good exercise, or maybe some acupuncture done at the Elizabeth Rupp's studio.
Oh, I'm not allowed there because I'm too devilish.
Well, yeah, when you start doing the acupuncture and you've got all these devils and stuff.
Yes. They won't do action puncture to you if you're cloven.
Acupuncture.
Did I say action puncture?
Acupuncture.
Acupuncture. They won't do acupuncture to you if you're cloven hooved.
Well, then there was the incident, with the stubby tail. But we don't want to talk about that. It's an embarrassment for everybody, including WMNH.
Tom says Connarton Hopwood 2020.
If you reverse that, I might think about it.
Well, you are the older gentleman, so it would make sense.
I was president of the College of Liberal Arts Government at Boston University, and John Silber tried to throw me out of the school.
Oh, yeah?
Seems to be a constant theme in my life.
I was a community organizer, so there. Hi. Take that.
I had a better pedigree than Barry Obama.
Wow. Ooh.
But I wasn't as tall.
I'm perfectly willing to sell out to the big banks. I have no problem with that.
I'm perfectly willing to sell out to anybody or anything as long as it wears a dress, but that doesn't mean much anymore.
Oh, right. Well, gender is no longer
the Honorable
an
Joel
issue.
Elber sleeps in women's 90s.
Does he really?
You know that.
I did not know that, and that sounds like TMI, but that is fascinating.
What did you think that fashion show was for that he put on? For charity?
Oh.
He was showing off those 90s.
I don't judge. This is a no judgment zone, and
genderless too.
Genderless. I think it's wonderful. I think what's most important is that he be comfortable so that he can do the people's business.
Amoskeag has to declare war on Goffstown, which insists on gender. That they're keeping select men instead of like the board of select people.
Oh yes.
I don't approve.
I don't either.
We need the bomb, Matt.
We do.
Yeah.
Well,
this show's turned into a bomb.
That's
my fault.
We do have to wrap up, of course, on Fridays. We wrap up around 5:30 because Granite State of Mind, hosted by the great Rob Azevedo, is coming up at 6 p.m. and usually has live musicians coming in play, so they need time to set up for that, but not such a bad thing.
Where are they?
Getting out a little early on a Friday. He'll be here any minute, I'm sure.
My meter's wrong.
But I am going to finish with a song, and of course, we cannot stream copyrighted material on Facebook, so I will say goodbye to everybody on the in the Facebook live chat. But of course, you can always hear every scintillating second of the show uninterrupted at WMNHradio.org. But I will say goodbye to Facebook, everybody there for now. Thank you all for participating as I click stop.